2-0, moving into game number 3. Delegation, let's get this show on the road and keep this moving. It is going to be Blast versus Fox.
That is right. And it's going to be exciting as we do have a ZVP in store.
Yep, and as I get all the things set up, and this is actually a game that was played on the Korean server, I believe. Oop, I accidentally hit the wrong button there. And on the upper right-hand corner of Overgrowth LE, it is going to be the Red Zerg. His name is Blast.
And in the bottom left-hand corner, representing Miraculous Gaming, playing Protoss and sporting that nifty little Korean name, I only know his real name because of our production research. It is Fox.
And, of course, it's coming out in chat already. What does the Fox say, Delegation?
What does he say indeed? Apparently something in Korean.
Yep.
And I'm not going to subject you all to screeching. You can find that on YouTube if you really want to hear it.
So what I see here is a very, very, very early probe coming out of Fox, headed over to the base of Blast. And looks like Blast is going to be sending out a pretty early scout of his own as they cross right over the top of each other. Pretty early to send out a drone scout at 11.
Yeah, I mean, both players, as you said, scouting very early. Not going to see a whole lot.
The drone actually turned around, did a U-turn, and is headed back to base. Not sure what was going on there, but looks like this drone is going to pull a huck here and be pesky busying up that mineral patch to shoo the drones away here for a moment. But he is going to see the spawning pool go down, and he's going to take some shots at this drone. Watching this, honestly, this feels like a Huck game, doing all the pesky, annoying things that Huck does. I just haven't seen a Huck game in a long time. Except for win.
Except for the heart rally points or the... Oh, almost there. Got halfway through the heart. But I saw recently that Huck did, like, he spelled his name in rally points with the probe recently.
Yeah, when you got so much APM Delegation, it's just hard to use it all.
I mean, if you're known for something, you got to keep it up, right?
Yep. This map always gets me, how the players make a wall here. And yes, this is a complete wall, but these pipes look like even the small units, such as the Zergling with speed, could hop over them.
But alas, they cannot.
But alas, that is not the case. So it looks like we're going to have a Nexus first coming down for Fox, and a quick hatchery here with a spawning pool for Blast. That probe is still in the base of Blast, being very obnoxious. The Zerglings are going to pop out and shoot away. As long as it's on creep, the Zerglings can catch it, but it is going to be a lot more difficult off of creep.
It is quite low, though.
Yeah, the Zerglings do have a ever so slight speed advantage on the probes as well, so eventually they may just be able to kill it, but it is certainly going to take some time here.
Yeah, I mean, oh man, one more shot.
One more.
Looks like
one
more.
Get it. I got it. All right, so he did a lot of work.
Fox's wall to finish up here too. He's got that cannon up. It's not completely walled off just yet, but definitely enough to shoo away some Zerglings, so they're going to take those towers.
It did keep the Zerglings busy for quite a while, so they were not able to head right across the map. One thing is Blast has not gotten much scouting information now, just kind of seeing what's up with this Overlord that's headed to the high ground point there, so it is not vulnerable, but a Zealot is going to be coming out to plug up that hole. And, you know, Blast has some pretty good vision here. He's got both towers, so he can see all the cross paths across the map, spreading out the Overlords to get the air vision.
Yeah, and the Overlords were the ones who were able to scout the base for him, as with that wall, that forge expand there that he did, there is no cybernetics core, so there are no stalkers. That Overlord is free to move in and out without any hesitation.
Interesting to note is that there is still no gas for Blast, so this is looking like a bit of an old school build here. I'm wondering if he's going to put down that 6-minute gas at the main and the natural. We will see, but 3 hatch, no gas for quite a long time here for our Zerg buddy here, Blast. Now another Zergling chasing down another probe. This probe will likely get away as he does have a lot more HP. Here goes down 2 gas at the natural at the 6-minute exactly point, Delegation.
Yep, he is right on point. That probe did take another swipe, but the Zerglings decided not to chase it as they would be running headlong into that wall, but the Mothership Core is going to catch them anyway, and they're going to be taking some shots from that.
Stargate coming down from Fox. This has been a much more common thing that we've seen. I've talked about it a few times in some of our shows. I'm sort of expecting to see Phoenix here. It has been a lot more common to see the sort of between 2 and 4 Phoenix into Colossus play out of Protoss lately. That seems like that build kind of went to the wayside for a while, but now players are starting to go back to it a little bit, especially as keeping these overlords away are pretty useful in hiding your tech.
And Blast did try and sneak that Overlord in there. That Stalker was able to catch it off guard before it got very far at all. So that Stargate remains a mystery for now.
Not a mystery, really. Oh, mystery to Blast, that's for sure. But the Oracle is in production. So once again, I went out on a limb to make a long-winded prediction, and it was wrong. But that's okay, because it could have been anything. But Oracle is actually not my favorite thing to do against Zerg. If you've got pretty impeccable control like a lot of these players do, you can get a few drone kills, and actually, you know, I've seen a lot more being kept in the loop for a PvZ for the Envision and Revelation to kill off some creep, or just keep an eye on the Zerg army to keep tabs on the tech. But that Oracle is going to be headed into the third base here. There is a Queen, so that is going to not get a ton of damage done, but he's doing some target firing on some drones. So he's going to get to... Oh no, the drone's walking right back under the Oracle, making it super convenient to get extra kills.
Yeah, that's up to 7 kills now, and forced to get out of there. But honestly, the unit, I mean, the drone count for Blast right now is at 60. He's 10 ahead of his opponent after losing 7 drones as well. So that light gas build, he's been focusing heavy on economy. If you looked at his units, he really doesn't have that many Zerglings either. Just kind of the bare number to keep tabs on his opponent, but nothing really to mount any type of defense. And up
honestly,
till now, he hasn't had to.
It looks like he's just going for a straight-up Roach Hydra push here eventually. And I think this is something we saw out of Scarlet quite a bit at Home Story Cup, and it was a build that she said that she was not all that comfortable with at times against Protoss, but seems like we've been seeing it a little bit more with just Roach Hydra Viper, which is actually pretty nasty against, looks like what the build of Fox is doing. He's going to be getting the Colossus. So you get a big group of Roach Hydra, but now he's showing a Void Ray to Blast, so he's going to see that coming. But along with the Hydras, I don't think he's going to be too concerned about it. Getting +1 attack upgrades and grooved spines for those Hydras, as well as the Infestation Pit, which is likely going to turn into Vipers eventually.
Yeah, he's really just kind of sprinting toward the tech he wants. He's also expanding aggressively as Blast has taken that high-yield expansion now. I will point out that Fox did see him put that down with an Oracle, has not done anything about it just yet, but he is continuing to build that army.
I think Fox is going to know exactly what's going on here, and he should be kind of scared because it's going to be pretty rough. There are 2 Void Rays coming across, and honestly, against this build out of Blast, they are just lost minerals and gas because 2 Void Rays in no planet are going to be able to take on this number of Hydras or even Queens. So hopefully, it looks like he's got 3 now. I think he's going to stop production at 3 would be my guess. Investing more in the Colossus, and honestly, he needs to invest heavily as those Roaches and Hydras are stacking up here really quickly. That hive is about half done.
Yeah, and mostly we're seeing Hydralisks here. I don't think we see a single Roach on the map. It's just Hydralisk and a couple of Lings, to be honest. So those Colossus are actually going to be incredibly effective.
And Spire coming down as well. That's actually kind of interesting. I'm surprised.
Well, when you... I mean, yeah, if he doesn't quite have that hive, but yeah, that is interesting timing as the hive is about to finish up. He will be able to make Vipers.
Yeah, I still think we're going to see Vipers out of this, but maybe he's getting the Spire just as a... actually, I can't remember what player it was, but again, it was I think it was a Home Story Cup game, but did this same sort of build. There's 3 Vipers on the way and a bunch of Roaches, so he's filling out with the Roaches after all the Hydra's done. Looks like Revelation was cast on the Hydra army there of Blast. But what I was getting into is that I think that it's actually kind of neat. Ooh, Oracle here in the main base, interrupting my story once again. Upgrades finishing up for the Hydralisk and the Roaches, but kind of getting this big Roach Hydra army with the Vipers, taking out a bunch of Colossus, and then just making a bunch of Mutalisks.
And he will have the ability to do that once this is done. I'm surprised, frankly, that Fox didn't try and push this a little bit sooner, but he is hitting a little bit before Blast has the army that he really wants to get. It looks like Blast is choosing to not get out of there, though, and Fox ends up recalling back to home.
That was actually a really good move by Fox. I was starting to get really worried because he used Prismatic Alignment on those Void Rays, and it was wearing down very quickly. He didn't really get much damage done with it, but also this gives Blast the extra few minutes here to get... Oh, wow. Look at the application, a Greater Spire.
Indeed.
Totally interrupted my train of thought. Broodlords?
It looks like that's what he's going to be remaxing with. I mean, if you're going to be making Colossus to try and deal with some of these Colossi, although there's not a whole lot of those coming down. I mean, he's continuing to make them, but there's not, like, their numbers aren't overwhelming.
Oh, this is actually a really cool composition. Roach, Hydra, Viper into Broodlords. That's actually really cool because you take down the Colossus with the Vipers, Roach, Hydra, and then get some Broodlords on the field. That would be really neat.
Well, we'll see if it plays out that way. There was some Zealots that tried to run in to do some run-bys. They were taken out by some Hydralisks from Blast, and now he's planting the Spinecrawler Forest out in front of that natural. There is another run-by heading down the left side of the map, and Fox really has to do something about all this expanding that Zerg is doing. He's on 5 bases now.
Yeah, and he did get High Templar, but has not yet started to research Storm. Looking at the upgrades tab, Storm not complete and not in production. He does have Blanket production, so he hasn't made any Archons of those High Templar. So
those High Templar are going to be used to try and take down those Vipers. They're going to feed back those guys. Yeah. That's probably the only utility that he has them for.
Yeah. And there comes the Broodlords, 5 Broodlords in production, so this is actually really cool. I'm interested to see how this plays out. So it's going to be super, super important for Fox here to get those feedbacks on the Vipers. It's actually going to be kind of hard because he doesn't have any observers out here on the map to really get the scout for where the Vipers are and when they're coming in.
Yeah, and there's small contingency on the left-hand side, maybe yet, and those Colossus are just forcing their way through. A lot of infrastructure there, and this base is certainly going to fall. Blast is not even going to try and engage that, just falling back to his next base. So Fox finally able to take out that high-yield mineral.
Yeah, to be honest, he doesn't even need that base, so smart to just abandon ship and mash your forces. He was also waiting for those Broodlords to get ready, which now they are, so those Colossus are going to be busy dealing with the Broodlings coming from there, and now Yoinks going down like crazy. One Void Ray headed on back. Broodlings headed back into that army, and now just having to... oh, nice Colossus yoink there, goes down, and looks like now there's only 3 Colossus left, so he's doing what he wants to do, baiting out the units he wants to get out. Prismatic alignment going down on those Void Rays.
There are no Vipers remaining, though. They have been feedbacked, and the Void Rays are just tearing apart those Broodlords. The Hydralisks are trying to do what they can now, moving forward to try and get those Void Rays, but now it looks like it's Fox who's doing the baiting, as those Hydralisks are much faster than the Broodlords, and he can bait them out with the Void Rays and swing back and hit them with the Colossus.
And yes, Divine Yoink is the official name of that spell. Not to be confused with Gank.
Well, what's Gank then?
They're interchangeable.
Anyway.
So Blast is moving across the map here.
Yeah, Zealots are trying to move in through that Spinecrawler Forest, not getting a whole lot done, so settling to try and kill some of these Roaches as they're moving across. But big engagement here at the site of the former third and of Fox.
Epic concave there by Blast with those Hydralisks on the Void Rays. Not many Roaches left, so the Prismatic alignment, they're really not getting a whole lot done. More Broodlords being morphed in here from the Corruptors by Blast. This is a really, really cool composition I've seen out of Blast here, and I'm a Protoss fanboy, and I'm really liking what I'm seeing. I wish that there were some more Vipers here, I think, because I kind of think that they would still have some pretty big utility, since how there are now Tempests on the field. So those Tempests are going to be super useful in trying to snipe down those Broodlords.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, I think that more I mean, he's got a lot of these Hydralisks, but he doesn't really have a whole lot of anti-air, and there's more air coming in as time goes on. There's nothing really answering these Colossus a whole lot, and it looks like Fox continues to kind of engage as he wants. I agree that we do need some more Vipers, but he's just been losing them to those Tempests, so I can see his hesitancy in making more of those.
Yeah, he is kind of opening up the field here. Also, the other thing I think we kind of could be seeing is building up a bit of a mineral bank here. Some Zergling run-bys, the main natural opening there. Wow, look at the health on this Zerg army. It is dwindling very, very fast.
Yeah, Fox is really just manhandling this thing, and in the meantime, there is a Zealot run-by going on in the former 5th base that has been completely decimated. Now they're just working on those immortal larvae. But in the meantime, the army for Blast has been cleaned up, and the looks like the food.
It's lost. This tells a pretty big story here. 23,000 for Blast and only 14,000 for Fox. So Zerg has really been dumping a lot more resources into the army here. And now as GG is called, as Blast cannot handle the incoming force that is the Protoss. So really cool game there. I mean, I really felt like Blast had it going on. I really felt like he had a really strong build. He had, looks like the upgrades were pretty even. But oh man, I just feel like, what do you think that he could have done differently to keep that going?
Yeah, I mean, I know that you said that you really like the Broodlords. I'm not sure I was sold on the Broodlord idea there. There was a lot of Void Rays, there was a lot of Colossus, and I mean, I can see the idea of the Broodlings trying to tank for the Hydralisks somewhat, but they're just kind of moving at different speeds there. There weren't enough Vipers to get pulls in to get the really key units out of there, and it seemed like Fox was trading really well. He wasn't losing a lot of units while taking out a lot of high-end units of his opponent. Blast was losing some Broodlords there, and those Templars got some really good feedbacks on the Vipers and really shut that down for the whole game.
Yeah, I think I agree with you a little bit there. I think that it may have worked out a little bit better if he had a couple more Vipers, but I mean, you know, you were saying that earlier that he was just rushing for the tech, but he wasn't actually rushing that much because he went economy full bore until about 8 minutes and then started making units. So he wasn't bothered at all by Fox, but really cool, interesting game. I would like to come back to this one at some point and look at it a little closer, and because it's different builds we've seen out of both Zerg and Protoss than we've seen commonly, so it's pretty cool. I like seeing games like that, but that is gonna change the score up, so now it is going to be 2-1. It looks like Miraculous Gaming coming back to get a win to bring themselves back into it. So